Hi guys, it's Nicole, and today I'm sharing my version of sketch number 7. This is from the one-page sketch bundle for the 6x6 paper pad class thing that Allison Davis has up at Scrapbook Generation. If you don't have the bundle, I'll post a link below where you can find it. Basically, you're going to get 20 sketches geared towards one-page layouts, all sort of showing different ways to use 6x6 paper pads. Now, I mentioned in the video for sketch number 6 that I kind of worked on 6 and 7 almost together and at the same time. They kind of had a lot of the same elements as far as like the background, so it was just a lot of cutting strips of pattern paper. And I would say, again, like I mentioned in the other video, just a more simple, basic kind of layout, allowing the focus to be on the photos. I was pointing to the front of the 6x6 pad because I thought I was losing my mind. And then at that point, I was just irritated. On the cover of the pad, they have like, the images for all the papers. And it says how many there are, and I went through and I counted, and I'm pretty sure what it is in the 12 by 12 version of these papers, you actually get all of the patterns depicted on that picture. But I think they reuse that photo when they do the 6x6 pad, and they take away a couple patterns because they were not in there. I haven't used them. They didn't come with the pad. They were not there. And when I counted the images on the front, it was more than 24 sheets of paper, and there's only 24 sheets in the pad. So I was a little irritated that Doodlebug chose to kind of reuse the image and just shrink it down and, label it 6x6 instead of 12 by 12, mostly because I really wanted that orange, like, notebook pattern paper, and it was not in there. So now I'm like, I kind of want to go back and I want to check my other pads and see. Obviously, I need to pull like a newer one, like one that I probably haven't used as many papers from, and see if it's kind of a recurring thing. I'm not the type of person to like reach out and email a manufacturer over something like that. Here, this is a trick that I do if I need to cut a bunch of things to all be the same size. I take a piece of scratch cardstock, I put a little bit of adhesive on the back of it, and I put it on the trimmer in this case, it's the 1-inch mark. Then whenever I go to cut my paper, I'm literally pushing it through against the edge of that cardstock. I'm not having to eyeball it, I'm not having to line it up, because I feel like even when you think that you've lined it up visually over and over and over again, turns out they're not actually all the same size. So that's just kind of a trick that I like to do. And then I'm going to do it again down here on the bottom to make sure that they're all 3 inches. So these are 1 by 3 inches. And honestly, this part of the layout probably took the longest just because it is a lot of cutting and measuring and that kind of thing. And then when I was choosing my pattern papers, I have a hard time picking patterns that I think go together, especially using something like multicolored prints. So a lot of times when I am doing something with a lot of pattern paper, I'll have one pattern that's multi-print and then a bunch of B-sides, which of course, once I do that a couple times, I end up having a 6x6 pad that's just full of A-sides, but it is what it is. And then I have a couple different tools that I could have used to cut these, but they wouldn't have been, I guess, as accurate. So I use one piece to make my banner edge, and then I use it to trace on the back of the rest of them, and then just kind of freehand cut. That works best for me. If you have a tool that works for you, by all means do that. I know a couple people didn't like the banners coming in from the edges of the paper and pointing at their photos, so they actually flipped it and put their banners coming from their photos, which I thought that was kind of a cool take on the sketch. I struggled trying to find a background pattern that I wanted to use. I knew that I was probably going to use black as an accent for my stitching and my title. So I made sure not to use any black pattern papers. And then I had a black like chalkboard kind of paper that I thought I was going to use for the background. And I ended up realizing that that wasn't going to allow my title to really be seen. And I had this leftover piece of wood grain paper from, I believe it's the August Scrap Room Flavors of the Month kit. It was from like the farmer's market kit. And it was literally the perfect size to just kind of go behind these banner pieces, and it will end up looking like it's a full sheet. And then I wanted just a little bit more room where the photos were. So I actually bumped these banner pieces up, I want to say maybe about an inch, 3/4 of an inch maybe. So I just bumped it up and then kind of cut off the overhang, if that makes sense. And then I am just going to do like some simple stitching, like a straight line across the top and a straight line across the bottom. I don't remember if I left it in the video, but here I was trying to figure out, I kind of wanted to mat it on black cardstock. I thought it would kind of help it look more finished. However, I wasn't really thinking, and this was the point that if I was going to do it, I should have trimmed my layout down before I did my stitching. Once I've done my stitching, I can't really cut the sides because it's going to undo my stitching. So I ended up just not going with the black cardstock. I really wanted to use it, but I didn't want to go through and kind of undo everything. I did leave in just a little bit of the stitching just to kind of share with you guys that I just do a basic back stitch. I use a size 24 needle. It's the same size that I use for regular cross stitch, so it's just kind of what I prefer to stitch with. It's a very small needle, but I like it. It doesn't rip like big holes into the paper. I use one strand of floss, fold it over so that I can start with like a loop method. And then I only have one end that I need to secure. And my go-to secure method lately has just been that like purple, I think it's called purple tape. It's this stuff. I use it to hold down dies. I use it for like printing, journaling and stuff. And then I use it to secure thread on the back of my layouts. And it seems to work pretty good. And then I had, months ago, I had mentioned that a lot of my Doodlebug 6x6 pads, I only have the pad. So a while back, I talked about it in a haul video. I went through and I bought a couple packs of die cuts from Doodlebug that were still in stock to match my 6x6 pads. So I was very glad that I had the matching die cuts to go with the pad and just kind of save myself a little bit of work. I thought I was going to mix in some different sticker sheets from different collections, but again, I was still kind of in this mindset of just keep it simple, just kind of get it done. Document the photos. These aren't any like amazing photos. These are just these are actually taken the same day as layout number 6, which is why in layout number 6 my daughter's hair is so weird. This was during Spirit Week at their school, and they almost always do a crazy hair day. And this year I typically just ask my daughter like, what do you want to do, because I'm not gonna go surf Pinterest and all these like elaborate things. I'm not that mom. I'm kind of like, what can we do? So she said she wanted like a ballerina bun on one side, and then ideally she wanted like a French braid going down the other. I cannot braid to the scalp. I can braid something that's already in a ponytail. So instead we did like, you just kind of like section it, put it in a couple little ponies, and then I braided the bottom. She loved it. She was happy about it. It's really hard to tell in the photo, but this was the first year that my son actually decided that he wanted to participate, but barely. So we just kind of mussed up his hair and put a little bit of gel in it. By the time I picked him up, his hair looked like every other day. So, but I was kind of surprised that he was like, well, what are we going to do with my hair? And I was like, every other year when I've asked you, you've said no thank you. Just comb it like regular. So we took a little photo. Like, I didn't take any up close photos of his hair because I didn't spend 40 minutes on it. I just kind of literally stuck some gel in it, kind of spiked it, kind of made it messy, and sent him on his way. But yeah, pretty much kept everything simple. I'm wondering if they're going to do any kind of Spirit Week at the school this year or not. I've actually got one kid home today. She wasn't feeling well. So I decided, you know what, just stay home, try to get some sleep, chug a bunch of juice. I delivered her a little big bowl of crackers and juice and stuff to keep in her room and kind of keep her contained because, you know, we're in this era where I know that she's been at school for 3 weeks and she's probably got that start of school cold that I feel like every kid gets. Thankfully, she didn't catch the flu that I had last month because I pretty much locked myself in my room. So now I'm over here like, okay, well, here's your stuff. Holler if you need me. Like, trying to keep kind of whoever's sick, have them be the only person that's sick. My son even commented, he's like, oh, I don't want to get it because I don't want to fall behind in class. And I'm like, okay. Like, most kids wouldn't have that response, but okay. I'm like, you know, stay away from her. So just kind of Cloroxing everything, trying to keep her in her area and see how it goes. I feel like we're in the land of, is it a cold or is it the plague? So far, it seems to just kind of be that beginning of the year cold, which, I mean, it's not fun to have a cold, but hopefully it kind of goes through pretty quickly. So with that, that is my layout. Hopefully I will be back to share number 8 really soon, but I am going to go work on some design team projects that I'm very excited to share with you guys. So until then, thank you for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys later.